Hi, it's Rich Tarani. Thanks for watching TMCNet's Editor's Day, Santa Clara 2015. On our program is Junaid Islam. He is with Vidder, and Junaid, welcome to the show. How are you?
Great to be here.
So, I know your company as a cybersecurity player, and there are so many cybersecurity companies in the market, right? We acknowledge that, and yet the number of cybersecurity break-ins is at an all-time high. How is your company helping? And tell us a little bit about your organization and how you help solve this problem.
Well, first, great to be here. So, as you are correct, cyber attacks are increasing, even though we have more and more products out there. And the question to ask is, what's wrong? There's something wrong with this picture. Well, what's wrong is cyber attackers are very good at breaking a specific product. So the more products you buy, they just learn about them and then they break them. What we do is something pretty simple but pretty radically different. Instead of having a security solution based on one product, we take security controls in your company, like your identity system, your PKI system, your certificate system, your VPN system, and we merge them together with software. So what we're doing is we're forcing a cyber attack to break multiple systems at the same time, which is just a lot harder than breaking a single system. So the nuance in what we do is the components we have aren't new. Identity system is a different business than ours, certificates, VPN, but the fusing them together to build a strong system is new. And our customers basically kind of validate our model. Our customer base is made up of Fortune 500 companies, all of whom have assets well over $1 billion in value online. And that's kind of what we do. We basically protect these very high-end assets with our new approach to security.
Fantastic. So now in action, how does the enterprise's daily working with your solution change in terms of their behavior before they work with you and the behavior after? Is there any change in what users need to do, what IT admins need to do?
Actually, that's a great question. And the way I'm going to answer it is to say secure networking, or the concepts behind that, which is verifying your device, verifying your identity, verifying what role you have, and then setting up that connection. That's actually not new. The question is, if that's not new, why aren't people doing it? It's because in the past, the usability has been terrible. You know, if it takes you 5 or 10 minutes to connect to your application, that's not acceptable, especially if you've got to search in your pocket for your fob. What we've done is we've taken these simple but important concepts in security and totally automated it. From a human perspective, we just ask people to press a button on their iPhone, their PC, or their Mac.
Okay.
And when they press that button, what we do is we do like 5 things within 2 seconds. First, we verify the identity of the device. We verify the digital certificate, is it good or not. We check their identity. We check what role they have in the company and what are they allowed to do. And then fifth, we basically set up a VPN connection from their device only to the applications they're allowed to access and nothing else. And we do all of this in 2 seconds. So now there's no excuse not to have a highly secure network, which in the as you guessed correctly in the past, that was the big reason people didn't build secure networks. People just hated them. But everybody can press a button, and that's what we do.
Now, so that was a smartphone example. What about from a laptop, a Surface, something like that?
Yeah. So what happens is on a laptop, a PC, or a Mac, our software shows up as an icon, and when they press that icon, this process which I talked about, device verification, identity verification, certificate, role, is all basically automated. And the important thing is we go through that process every time for every individual. So if you're a company with 100,000 people, for all 100,000 people, we will do that check from scratch.
And how do you do the identity management on a PC? It's just if the person's logged in, Microsoft?
So what happens in our system is, assuming the person is in the company identity system, which they have to be, we have a self-service process that allows them to add their own personal device. So everybody is their own kind of device manager. Because people know if they have 3 devices or if you buy a new device, if you want to add it. What happens is in that onboarding process, when you add your own device, we add some cryptographic material unique to that device and unique to your certificate, so that we can do that verification check very quickly when you want to access an application, whenever you want. So you can have any number of devices.
So so if I could just dumb that down just so I understand it, you basically are like putting an encrypted cookie on the device?
That's right. That's right. Well, we're using digital certificates, and the private part of the certificate, you could think of like an encrypted cookie. That's right.
Okay, fantastic. And then so the only other thing would be that the user, in theory, could hack a password, right? So if I can get on your device and I know your password, that would be the only way for a person who shouldn't get on the network to get on the network, right?
That's right. So the beauty of our system is we have a number of features that come built into it. For example, let's just think about stealing a password. Stealing a password in our system is useless because you need to steal the device.
Right.
Then you might say, well, the hacker's really smart. He's either going to steal the device and the password, or he's going to clone the password. Well, then the connection we set up is only to the application. So if you think about the last few big attacks like OPM, two things went wrong. First, they stole a credential, which in our case wouldn't work because you need the device. But say they cloned the device and they stole the credential, you'd only get access to the file server the person is allowed to do. You wouldn't be able to get network access, which is what they happened. And then from there, they want to... And the incredible thing about cyber attacks is if you think about OPM, Target, Sony, going all the way back to RSA, they pretty much had the same playbook. Start with steal the credential, get into the network, find a server, add some software to that server, and then off you go sideways, scan the network and find the important stuff, right? And the sad thing, it's been 3 years since RSA, and the industry is only now waking up to the notion that something is seriously wrong. And that's really a part of our story, that yes, you can actually do something, that there's some simple things that can be done to stop these very devastating direct attacks, which is happening to corporate America more and more.
And if I'm just going through the acronyms in my head, the OPM is the Office of Personnel Management of the Government. It was 20 million. Was it 20 million user identities was
That's
stolen?
right. Actually, OPM was really serious because not only was it the identities, a lot of the people had security clearance.
Sure.
And their security clearance forms were stolen. And the problem with that is in those forms, people listed their relatives. And again, this is now in the hands of probably China. And it's been reported in the press that the Chinese sold the list to the Russians. So this is...
Without a doubt, and without getting sidetracked, without a doubt, it is the biggest international disaster or the biggest national disaster that didn't actually kill people, I think, in the U.S. in terms of the severity of damage to the U.S. military intelligence services for decades and decades to come. I mean, without getting sidetracked, but I mean, the research I've done, I mean, basically, if we have someone on a let's say a Navy sub that is going to war in some kind of military situation with another government, that government can now know potentially who's on the sub and actually blackmail them or target the individuals and their family, now compromising their ability to carry out the orders that the U.S. gives. I mean, it is devastating.
It is devastating because so many Americans, of course, are immigrants, as am I, and they have families around the world. And now that a foreign government has a list of those families, sadly, one of the things that will happen is that they will take advantage of that during a time of crisis. And I think if there's one silver lining in OPM, it would be that within America, we take cyber attacks a lot more seriously, and we basically make sure that these vulnerabilities, which are actually very well-known vulnerabilities, that's the sad thing, we close them off so this doesn't happen. It's something well within our capability. It's something I think we need to do, and we just need to raise our game a couple of orders of magnitude.
Yeah, so hopefully solutions like yours will prevent future attacks of that nature from taking place.
Well, we certainly do hope so. This is a business we specialize in. And as people become aware of the threat and they start looking for solutions, we've done very well this past year and hope next year to take this to even broader customer base.
Fantastic. So just one closing question. What's next for the company? What can we expect?
Well, I think greater market adoption. Again, going back to OPM, the silver lining is now people are realizing that the consequence of not dealing with a direct attack. And I think as the customer base becomes more aware that they need a solution, I think the opportunity from us as Vidder is to take our product line to many more Fortune 500s or even the Fortune 5000 market.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks a lot.